You know, every once in a while you come across one person you want to build an entire program or project around, and that is our situation tonight. I'm Lynn Hinderrocker. Thanks for joining us right here on WOWBIZ Super Quiz, which is brought to you by two sponsors here in the Omaha, Nebraska area. Curzon Promotional Graphics, outstanding. We'll talk about them later on. And then a new sponsor, we want to welcome Alpha Tech One. AlphaTech1.com, outstanding computer repair, responsible for this production you're going to hear tonight and this incredible dialogue that you're going to be a part of. Thanks for joining me. Let me introduce you to my new guest tonight. Say hi to the audience, my old friend.
Tom Baker, glad to be here. Thanks, Lynn. Looking forward to it.
Tom, you and I knew each other many years ago, 30 years plus ago, I believe. And tell us what you do here in the Omaha area. You're in the sales coaching area?
Yes, I have a sole proprietorship. It's a business called Lighthouse 5.
Lighthouse 5 is a very clever name. Sounds like a rock group to me.
Well, it's, Lighthouse, I lived in Seattle for 15 years and I moved back to Omaha, but when I was in Seattle, I just fell in love with lighthouses.
Yeah,
and
that's nice.
It's kind of a beacon of bright ideas.
It's a great symbol
and
for illumination.
I'm a fifth generation. One of my ancestors was a famous ship captain in Boston who actually sailed around Cape Horn.
Is that right?
Yeah, and so fifth generation, so I've kind of kept that going. But Lighthouse 5 is a sales consulting business for small business owners.
Yes.
Help them sell more stuff with bright ideas.
Absolutely, and I've seen your website. It's very attractive. So do you do sales training, or are you hands-on coach, or just generally speaking, what do you do, or just anything associated? Are you selling, in fact, for people? Or?
Nope. It's the smaller the business, the better.
Yeah.
Because business owners, they're doing everything. Everything's important all the time.
Yeah.
So I try to come in and say, okay, what's working, what's not working. It's a strategy discussion. And let's hone in on this experiment and see if that works.
Yes.
So it's not really training, it's more let's get our hands on together and figure out how to make it work.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Tom Baker with Lighthouse 5, and the website is lighthouse5.com. Excellent. Great job. All right. Well, let's plunge into these questions. I know that you're a substantive enough executive and you've had great experience, so I think we can actually extract a lot of wisdom. A lot of our viewers are enjoying this kind of a dialogue, so thank you for being here.
And I'd like you to share both of your good ideas tonight, too, if you could.
Okay. All right, listen, we'll start right off the bat by talking about trust, okay? As part of the marketing and sales process, you can't trust anyone these days, obviously. Coaches, teachers, priests, NFL referees, all of them are a little bit suspect these days. And a lot of people are a little bit cynical about when a sales overture is made. They're a little bit nervous about, can I really trust that sales rep? I'm sure you've dealt with that in the field. So the question is, how do you, in fact, earn the trust of a sales prospect? That's a big deal. And I think it's changed over time. Now I'm going to give you three options. I want to hear your feedback about which one you think is best.
Okay.
The first one would be to demonstrate your expertise by appearing on a business program such as this show right here. That'd be one example, a way to kind of look like an expert, right? The other one would be to provide some kind of a free service up front where you're actually interacting with the prospect and they kind of get a feel for you and you're doing something for them without expecting payment initially, right? And the third one is simply testimonials and endorsements, third party, and this is all the people that have said good things about me.
Okay.
All right. Which one of those three, Tom Baker, do you believe is the preferred way? Of course, we'd all like to have them all going on at the same time, but which one would you suggest? Or if you have a fourth one that you think is even better, we're all ears.
I'm going to pick number 1 and number 3.
Okay.
But I'm going to start with, first number 1. It's a great idea to get out there and be seen.
Yes.
Network, take speaking opportunities.
Right.
Be visible. And this is another example of the great service you do to the community.
Yeah.
But the third option you had was testimonials,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So I have had success with that, and I have an exercise that I'd like to recommend.
Yes.
So let's say I'm coaching you.
Yeah.
And so you pick your top 5 customers, and you want to get a testimonial from them. So the way I do it, or the way I tell my customers to do it, is you write the testimonial for this person and for me and for them. Then you send that testimonial, you ask permission to this gentleman here and say, Bill, I'd like a testimonial. I've already written it for you. Would you approve it, edit it, or reject it?
Yeah.
So then Bill will get your email. He'll say, that sounds great. Lynn, happy to use that.
Yeah.
So it's done for them.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. I appreciate you showing that. Now, that's the kind of great tip we expect from Tom Baker. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's just one quick thing there. I have had clients who are such busy people, and they're a little bit introverted, by the way,
okay.
and they don't have, they're good, they do good work, but they don't have any testimonials or endorsements. And they maybe have been in business 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Do you have any good suggestions about how something like that can best be handled? Because you kind of want them on your website, you know, as...
Well, just turn it around. Let's say I have a vendor.
Yes.
I might write a testimonial for that vendor unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And just say, Mark, I've written this testimonial for you. Would you like to post that?
Yeah.
Would you return the favor, please?
Oh, now that's a cool idea.
So you do the work for them.
Yes, and you kind of do a little trade, a little bit of a reciprocity.
Give them a testimonial
there.
First.
Right. Excellent suggestion. Thank you so much for that suggestion. Let's go on to the next one, should we? Now this is a little more psychological, all right? But every single small business owner, as we just discussed, I think struggles with this, especially if you're a one-person operation, but even if you have a nice team around you, struggling with self-doubt and trying to analyze and figure out what to do next. What should we be doing right now to move ahead, especially if sales are kind of flat and so on. Everybody's expecting you to come up with some good idea, and you start to get a little psyched out in many cases. And you spend a lot of time looking at the sales numbers and trying to figure out where should I steer my energy and my team. What can we do for somebody like that?
I'm trying to think of a couple examples. One would be to actually hire a coach. If you're a small business owner and you have 5 employees,
yes,
a coach can really help you. And I'm not a coach, but a performance coach, an executive coach, someone that's going to hold you accountable to make your list and work through that list with a certain amount of inspiration.
Yes.
But another thought I had is these questions that come up, get a second and a third and a fourth opinion. And in my experience, as I've analyzed a project or had doubt, by the time I'm talking to a second vendor or a third vendor, I have a whole different set of questions because I've learned the pieces of the puzzle along the way.
Yes.
So I hope that answers your question about...
No, that's very interesting. Do you feel that self-confidence is a primary barrier to accomplishment, or do most small business people, they're accomplished in kind of brushing it off and moving forward and so on?
I don't really deal in that self-confidence piece, but I do know that we all get paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
And I have a coach.
Yeah.
And she has told me multiple times, I'm going to say dozens of times, get on with it.
Yeah.
And I have a phrase, it's called get your ship together.
You have a what? You say that what?
A phrase, get your ship together.
Okay. Yeah. You don't have a blog or anything that's titled, okay.
But just, make an action. And don't be afraid to make those mistakes, because you're going to stumble along the way.
Yeah. Tom Peters used to say just ready, fire, aim. Yeah. Because that would enable you to at least adjust when you see there's some kind of a mistake, and then you're off and running and tweaking as you go.
I'd buy that too.
All right. Listen, I'm going to move on to marketing strategy for just a second. We almost never buy the item because it excels at a certain announced metric. In other words, something that says, well, this has been proven to be the highest performing vehicle, or whatever it is, some kind of a big number that kind of proves its superiority. Instead, we buy a story. This is an interesting thing. The story becomes the wow factor, the thing we want to talk about as we're pondering it, or, I've always wanted, blah, 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 some kind of a story. Let me ask you this, Tom Baker. What is your story? What is your wow factor that you feel really is the real reason?
How much time do we have?
How much time do we have? No. But give us your thoughts there for about a minute or two, maybe.
It's hard to do that.
And I've talked about yourself, of course.
Well, sure. And I've talked to my clients about helping them with that very question.
Sure.
Because it's hard to talk about ourselves. It's like writing a resume.
Absolutely.
It's like, what do I say?
Yeah.
So I think you need to get family members involved and coworkers involved to help them reinforce what one might think is their wow factor.
Because sometimes you understate yourself, and sometimes you might overstate yourself, right?
Yeah, or we all take things for granted. And
Sure.
Personally, I just grew up in a household full of humor.
Yeah.
And always try to throw humor into almost anything I can, almost to my detriment. Sometimes people don't take me too seriously, but I like to have fun along the way. But
Sure. But so what's the story? Now, you gave us the story at the beginning of the show. It was very interesting to me. I found it not profound, but pretty almost riveting, the whole lighthouse piece.
Yeah.
And by the way, I mean, you've got a wonderful myth and your background and history and all that. Sure. But you could extend that and say, here's the real story on me. I am a lighthouse and I shine light on stubborn, practical, confusing problems involved in the sales arena. So my name really is my functionality.
That very well could be. And I think it also evolves over time.
Yeah.
You know, as I'm a sole proprietor.
As you start to find out who you really are and what you do, what people like about you.
Yeah. I'm a sole proprietor, and as I work with small businesses, I have to be malleable, and I have to not change who I am, but offer just a bare bones approach to common sense. How are we going to sell more stuff? And another thing I will say, pardon me, I'm famous for being the phone guy.
The phone guy?
And I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way.
No, that's good. I want to hear about the phone guy.
I tell people to put the mouse down and pick up the damn telephone. And maybe it's old school, but if you think of your own day to day, you come back from a business meeting and you have 42 emails. You're like, goodness gracious, how am I going to get through it? You check your voicemails. That person took the time to call you with a thoughtful message. I might be more likely to call that person back than to return all those emails.
So when let's talk about prospecting now. What you are the guy that likes to get on the phone and make cold calls, is what I hear you saying. You're fine with that.
It's a necessary evil, but there's a way to do it.
Yeah. And do you feel like combining the phone with an email, preceding it or following it? I want to know what you say here.
I just try to set myself apart and my clients apart by saying, you be the phone guy. I mean, combine them both too, but the phone is a critical piece. You can hear inflection. You can share humor.
And if you've got a good voice or a good voice demeanor on the phone, that does make a great difference.
You can get a lot more done in an 8-minute phone call than 20 emails back and forth. So I guess that's not my wow factor, but that's my mantra is try the phone. You know, try it for a week. Make 5 cold calls a day and see what comes out. And then you have to develop a script. And I'll share another secret with you.
I want to hear the phone
script. This is a great secret for the viewers. There's a little phrase that disarms the whole pressure.
Is that right?
Of a cold call in my view.
Is that right?
And if I was calling you, you'd pick up and you'd say, hello, this is Lynn. I'd say, Lynn, my name's Tom Baker. We haven't met. I wondered if I could ask you a few questions. By admitting we haven't met, it just disarms it a little bit. And I've found personally great success just with that little,
I think that's a very interesting, subtle little thing that changes the tonality or vibe of it. I sometimes use my last name because it's a little difficult, and I'll make a little bit of humor about it. It's a Norwegian name or whatever, and I'll use that as a way to kind of stumble into a conversation. But it's a little bit difficult because they'll say, well, who are you and why are you calling me?
Sure, but if you say we haven't met, you kind of need to ask for help. Because you have the gatekeeper to try to get to the right person, and maybe you don't know the right person. So I'd say, you know, Martha, my name's Tom Baker, we haven't met. I was driving by your place. I wonder if you can help me find the right person to talk to. It makes me a little submissive. And it just helps me get past the gatekeeper.
I totally get that. Are you good at name dropping? Do you like to drop names on the phone as a way to kind of say you and I kind of know somebody that we both share the same acquaintance? Do you do that?
I got your name from Lynn Hindrocker. And if they don't hang up, I get to go further with them.
They'll probably hang up. All right, let's move on. Thank you. That was a great answer. I really appreciate that so much, Tom. Hey, now I'm going to move on to a more philosophical thing that we talked about a little bit earlier. That was psychological. Now we're going to talk about philosophy of living your life as a business person. And as you know, business comes in waves. You know what I'm saying? There's times when it's frenetic and tense and you're just really moving and grooving. Other times it's kind of low key and things are just kind of floating along, right?
Or you're in a zone or you're not in a zone.
Right.
I mean, we all go through those waves as well.
That's right. Someday we could have a talk about how to get in the zone, but that's a different discussion. So here we go. Here's the phrase that I want you to analyze for me and tell me if it's truthful for you. Chaos breeds life, while order breeds habit. Chaos breeds life, while order breeds habit. When is chaos helpful, Tom Baker, and when is order helpful? Give me an example.
I think chaos, I'm on a project right now where we're trying to figure out a way to launch a new product. So we're sitting around a table with my client and everybody's throwing ideas out, and that chaos breeds new ideas.
Creativity.
So early on in a phase of maybe a new product launch or a new sales promotion, let's throw everything out there. And then conversely, towards the end of the decision making, we need to put order to that.
Then we have convergence. It all kind of comes together. And we have an
chaos is
orderly
good.
expression of it. Yeah. All right, that's very good. And I think I would totally agree. The thing is, so many owners and managers get uncomfortable with the chaotic aspect of the creative brainstorming or whatever you're doing.
So let's say we're developing a sales promotion.
Yes.
We're going to do something around the College World Series.
Yeah.
That's many months out.
Yeah.
Let's plan for chaos, because we're just throwing ideas out. We're not going to get it right at first, but let's just throw out all the possible ideas. And let's have fun with it, because let's be as chaotic as possible.
Yeah.
Because there might be a nugget in there.
Yeah. You know, fun is a really interesting topic as it relates to this particular show. We've done a number of shows here, and what I found, somebody told me, they said, Lynn, I think you're creating truly a learning platform, and the reason people are learning from the show is because you keep it fun. And as long as it's fun and loose and light, somehow we can engage more easily with the topics as they're floating through the air.
Yeah, I agree.
That's really cool. Well, listen, let's talk about a reality here in America today. And before I get into this, I want to talk about our sponsors briefly, because we wouldn't be here today if it weren't without, as a result of them.
Terrific.
Do you mind if I do that?
Terrific.
All right, we're gonna rock and roll on this for just a second. First of all, I want to say to you, if you're watching our show right now, you've got to look up Curzon. That's C-U-R-Z-O-N, Curzon Promotional Graphics. They're outstanding. They've been around the Omaha, Nebraska, eastern Nebraska area for about 30 years. They know what they're doing. What I love about them is they'll help you come up with a creative look. They have great taste over there, and then also they'll produce the material for you at a very competitive price. They know the internet's out there. They know there's price pressure, so they're always pricing their materials very sharply. So look them up, Curzon Promotional Graphics. They're our first sponsor for WOWBIZ Super Quiz, our show right here. Now, I want to welcome our second sponsor. I want you to write this down, because everybody I've ever talked to eventually has computer problems, right? They have technology issues, the software, you have viruses, the computer's running slow. Everybody knows how that goes, and you're always procrastinating, who do I call, and I don't know what's going to happen, and it can get out of hand in many cases. So I want you to understand the place to go, and I'm going to tell you why right now. Alpha Tech One is a fascinating company, because the owner of the company, listen to me now, the owner of the company comes to your office or your residence, gets your computer, okay, this is like the restaurant food delivery industry, gets your computer, takes it back to his office, and analyzes it, calls you up, tells you what the issue is, what the diagnostic is, how much it'll cost to fix it. Then you still have freedom of choice. This is a very important thing. No, I can't do that. I don't want to spend the money on it, blah, 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 whatever it is. Or he'll go ahead and get it fixed if you approve the cost. So then he'll bring it back to you. Now, I don't think this is being done, frankly, in this particular industry. So keep in mind, Alpha Tech One and alphatech1.com is the operation in the Omaha, Nebraska area that will come get your computer. It's incredible convenience, and I'm greatly happy to have them be part of the program. Isn't that cool? Isn't that a cool service?
I think that they come and pick it up
They come and pick it up from you.
Yeah.
Go take care of it, fix it. The guy's very bright. He knows exactly what he's doing with hardware and software. Then just comes and delivers it to you.
That's an added value.
It's an added value. It's a wonderful convenience, and I happreciate the fact that they hustle for our business. So I'm so glad that they are involved with us right here on WOWBIZ Super Quiz. All right, Tom, are you ready again? We're going to go right back to it, all right?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. The cost of food, rent, transportation, childcare. Now, we're talking about the middle class now, right? The bulk of the middle class. It's rising. All those costs are rising twice as fast as incomes. Now, just think about that for a second. I'm talking about a trend over the last 30 to 40 years now, as the middle class seems to get a little bit smaller relative to the overall pie, you know?
Yep.
People keep spending, nevertheless. How can they do this? They have credit cards. They have credit cards. There seems to be an unlimited number of credit card offers. And these families, despite the fact that they're not bringing the bucks home relative to their expenses, they keep on spending money with these new credit cards. Seems like a little bit of a disastrous situation emerging in our society. But nevertheless, if you're going to launch a new company right now, and based upon the trend that I've just shared with you, which clearly points to price sensitivity and value, creation of value, would you target customers at the low end? We're talking about people now that probably don't have more than $500 left over at the end of the day, and waiting for their next paycheck, whatever, right?
Yeah.
right? Or at the high end of the marketplace, premium end, and so. And which one of those two sectors of the marketplace are needy and you feel like you could sell something to them at the low end or at the high end?
That's an easy one. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, but that's a tough call.
Yeah.
I mean, we all think about our sales, and if you have a big prospect that has lots of red tape and a lot of, I'm thinking about B2B here, but
Yeah.
it takes it's a long sales cycle. So if you're starting a new business, you have to explore both.
You have to figure that out. See?
You have to kind of try both.
Yeah.
I mean,
but your product is going to reflect. Your product's either going to look like it's for the low end of the market, or it's going to look like it's for the high end of the market. So you got to be kind of careful there in terms of product development or product design.
Sure.
Here's the thing. We are in this convenience world where one click and you've got it.
Yeah. Instant gratification.
Right. And Amazon is setting all the prices. Right. In just about every category, you've got to somehow beat them. Right. So that's a real concern. At the upper end, every new organization I know thinks that they can tap into that premium buyer.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. But I have a feeling those premium buyers are extremely discerning, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And they're just, everybody's coming at them. They want their discretionary spending,
Right.
And so it's super, super competitive at the high end because those people aren't stupid. They do know how to shop, so to speak, for all the luxuries and discretionary purchases.
Yeah.
People at the low end, boy, some of them are really deal with scarcity, but they've got to have certain things, And if you can make it more convenient and easier to buy them, could do very well at that low end.
Well, and I think you might be able to do both within a certain sector.
Really?
And I'm trying to think of, I don't know if it's like a restaurant doesn't apply here. I'm trying to think of a car
product
dealer
or a service that fits in this situation.
That doesn't fit with a plumber, but there's certain categories. Of course, they don't come to me right now. Certain categories that you might be able to do both.
I think plumbing would be a great example. $79 will come and do your drain.
Okay.
Some budget price, as opposed to the people that will come in and ecologically make the water flow and everything really kind of organic and purify all the water. And you know what I'm saying? Those would be two examples.
Along the way, you can't do everything for everybody.
Yes.
So whatever your industry is, you got to pick your niche.
Yes.
And do that really well.
That's very hard for a lot of companies
to do everything for everybody.
To figure that out.
There's a lot of people that try to do that.
All right, now this is a great question as a follow-up to that, and we'll wrap up our show today. And you've done a great job, Tom Baker. Thank you so much with Lighthouse 5. Here we go. Now we're going to start from scratch right here. Okay, right now, from clean table. All right. Which of these three situations would you personally like to be involved in? Of the three choices I give you right now.
Okay.
All right. Number one, a solopreneur on your own with very few resources. That's number one. All right. But you have freedom, you have latitude, you have some things that not everybody has. Okay. Right. On the other hand, number two, CEO. You'd be a CEO. You'd be a good CEO of a large company that's been doing badly for 2 years. All right. On a slippery slide.
Okay.
All kinds of cultural problems, strategy problems, competitive problems, whatever it is. All right. Number three, a coach or a consultant, an outsider, to the large company I just mentioned that's doing poorly.
Okay.
Which one of those three situations would you like to be?
Today?
Today, right now. Change your world.
I'm gonna pick the first one.
You are.
To be
the solopreneur,
with few resources.
Really? Now tell me why. Now we're going to really know who you are as a result of your answer to this question.
It's just, it's kind of my nature lately to be an entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
Enjoy being a solopreneur now. It's just my work experience. I've kind of gravitated towards the smaller things.
Sure.
Therefore, my clients tend to be the smaller businesses that need help because, as I said before,
you hang out with that
business
group,
owner, everything's important all the time.
Sure.
Now, when you talk about fewer resources, one of my natural skills is just networking and getting out and meeting people and finding trusted advisors.
Are you one of those guys that feels like as long as I've got a laptop, computer, a car, I can go network and I can create value and come up with money?
Yeah.
Is that pretty much deep in you?
Yeah.
I have that feeling as well. I kind of understand what you're getting at right there.
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, solopreneurs delude themselves, kind of overestimate their ability to pull it out of that scrappy little hole that they're sitting in and go on and do it. It's a very interesting topic.
And my answer is based on my client base right now. I'm just so familiar with the smaller businesses that I don't have an understanding of the large CEO-based companies.
Well, Tom, you know, it's been a pleasure having you here with Lighthouse 5. I want you to give me one word right now, where you've done many branding projects in your life, a little positioning, that kind of stuff. Give me one word or a phrase or something that describes this experience right here. Let's say, for instance, we wanted to market this show in this particular video that we're doing right now. What words, they said, what was that all about, Tom? What would be your gut descriptor?
Thought-provoking.
Thought-provoking.
Yeah.
You know, there could be a lot of worse things in the world than something that's thought-provoking. I think that's a pretty darn good adjective. Thank you so very much for being here. I really appreciate it, and you lived up to all of our expectations. We also want to thank, of course, Curzon Promotional Graphics. They've done a tremendous job for us here on this show, and our new sponsors for WOWBIZ Super Quiz. That's alphatech1.com. Go there. Appreciate their value. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time right here on WOWBIZ Super Quiz. I'm Lynn Hinderrocker.